All right, let's talk about Deel. This is a company that didn't just grow fast, it basically rewrote the rule book on what hypergrowth even means. We're going to dive into exactly how they pulled it off. So, get this, $500 million in annual recurring revenue. Most companies would be thrilled to hit that number in, what, a decade? Deel did it in less than 5. I mean, that's not just fast, it's absolutely insane. The real question is, how in the world did they do that?
Well, the answer isn't just about being in the right place at the right time. It's this incredible story of a last-minute Hail Mary pivot and just relentless execution. They solved a massive problem that was hiding right under everyone's noses. To really get Deel, you've got to understand the founders, Alex Buazaz and Shuo Wang. They met at MIT, both had these international backgrounds, and they were trying to solve their own problem. This quote from Alex says it all. Hiring the best people was just too expensive and way too complicated once you crossed a border. Think about what it was like before Deel. Hiring someone in another country was a total nightmare. You either had to spend a fortune setting up a whole new legal company there, use these pricey agencies, or, just send money via PayPal and pray you weren't breaking some law you didn't know about. Deel's big idea was to just sweep all that mess away with a single platform. But here's the thing. That simple vision, that's not where they started. Not even close. They walked into Y Combinator, the famous startup accelerator, with a totally different idea, a fancy crypto payment system. It sounded cool, innovative, but there was one tiny problem. Nobody wanted it. Shu Wang just laid it out there, brutally honest. People thought the idea was neat, but when it came to actually using the product, crickets. 2 weeks into YC and they had nothing. Their cool idea was a complete bust. So what do you do when your big idea completely falls apart? Well, Alex and Shuo did the smartest thing you can do. They stopped trying to sell and they just started listening. They talked to over 200 companies and asked them one simple question. What's your biggest headache with remote hiring? And after all those interviews, literally in the final weeks of YC, they had their light bulb moment. The real problem wasn't trust. It was payments and compliance. The boring stuff. So with just days to go before the big demo day pitch, they threw everything out and walked on stage with a brand new company, calling it Gusto for International Contractors. This pivot led them to their secret weapon, the Employer of Record Model, or EOR. Basically, Deel becomes the legal employer in other countries for its customers. They handle all the messy stuff. Payroll, taxes, benefits, all the local laws. Suddenly, a company in New York could hire a full-time employee in Japan in like minutes and be totally legal. This was the game changer. In the result of that pivot, Deel rocketed from $1 million to $100 million in annual revenue in just 20 months. That number just proves they'd hit on a real, painful problem. So the question becomes, how did they manage to grow that fast? It all came down to a principle that's literally baked into their DNA, Deel speed. It's this obsession with just doing things now. Build faster, expand faster, and never, ever push something to tomorrow if you can solve it today. And this wasn't just some motivational poster on the wall. Their investors saw it too. One of them said Alex and Shuo are in the top 0.1% of founders when it comes to pure speed. They'd respond to emails instantly, build new features overnight. They just operated at a different pace than everyone else. So how did they turn that speed into actual customers? They started by mastering the cheap channels, places like Reddit and Quora. But their strategy wasn't to spam links, it was to genuinely help. If someone asked about Hungarian compliance, a Deel expert would drop in and give a super detailed, helpful answer. Then, and only then, would they maybe mention their product. That built so much trust and word of mouth. They took this value-first approach and basically turned it into a weapon for SEO. Their goal for every single article was simple. When a user reads this, their Google search is over. They used this traffic light system to find what people were searching for, and then created content that was so good, so specific, that Deel became the authority on the topic, not just another company trying to sell you something. And underpinning all of their growth tactics was this one core strategy: go global from day one. Like Shu Wang said, they never thought of themselves as just a US company. Right from the start, they were building for the entire world, even if it was just one person trying to cover 20 countries.
That decision was absolutely key.
So the first big lesson from Deel is pretty clear. Go global from day one. Your market, and more importantly, your talent pool, isn't just in a 30-mile radius around your office. It's everywhere. Second lesson. Execute with what they call brute force. Speed is your #1 weapon. It's your most powerful advantage against bigger, slower companies. The lesson is simple. Just move faster than everyone else. Period. Third lesson, and this one is so important. Founders have to do customer support. For the first 6 months, Alex and Cho were the ones answering every single customer email and call. Why? Because it's the only way to truly feel your customer's pain and know exactly what you need to build next.
And man, this is a huge one. Solve a real unsexy problem. They ditched the cool crypto idea for the boring world of global payroll and compliance. The biggest business opportunities are often hiding in those complicated, messy problems that nobody else wants to deal with.
And finally, raise money on your own terms. Alex Buaz's is huge on this. Be so careful with your money, so frugal that you never need to raise more. Because when you don't need the money, you have all the power in those negotiations. You stay in control.
Look, the Deel story is way more than just a business case study. It's really a challenge to how we all think about work. They proved that amazing talent is literally everywhere, even if opportunity hasn't been. So in a world where the borders for work are basically vanishing, the real question is, what's stopping you? Thanks for tuning in.